Thanks. See, that's why I need Allison, because I'm just like I don't think about those things. She's like, why aren't you recording this for content later? It's like, I don't know. I shouldn't think about it.
Let me see here. I'll let somebody else go then while I'm kind of waiting for this to come through.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think mine's probably one of the more non-typical farming methods, mostly because all of my farming started based on open houses and using a geographic farm to kind of box in exactly where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do in terms of community, and making sure that community was the focus. So for the first 5-6 years of my career, I would hold 5 open houses every single week. So I'd have one on Wednesday evenings, I'd have one on Friday during the day, and then I'd have 2 on Saturdays and usually 1 on Sunday. And it would be where I would pay agents to host their opens if need be, to just box out competition so that anyone in my geographic farm that was coming to an open house, they only saw me, and the assumption was, whether it was right or wrong by them, that I'm the only person in the farm that has listings, because they walk into an open house, they see me, and it's me every single time. All they're thinking is, oh, I know Joe. Oh yeah, everybody knows Joe. Joe. And then that was always the first layer of it. The next layer was always then working with community partners, simple things like florists. You'd be amazed at how many people go and on the weekend get flowers, or on Fridays get flowers, for a number of different reasons, events, people in their lives, weddings, funerals, graduations, parties in general. So one of the biggest things that I did was I would always go in for every single open house to one of the florists inside the area of the farm and say, hey, can I have a $20 bundle of basically your scrap flowers that's going to look nice? Give me anything. I don't care what it is. I just want $20 and give me what you got. And they loved it because it wasn't anything crazy, and they were seeing me several times a week, and I was then relationship building within the farm, within the community, and eventually got to the point where each of these florists, I would say, hey, I do real estate, I'm a big proponent of the community. How is it that we can work together? And they would always say, oh, well, you're always here, you're always buying things. I mean, I feel like I owe you something. So what I then immediately would ask was, okay, well, is it okay when I'm having an open house if I just put a stand with a flyer for the open house? And 9 out of 10 said yes. And I would get the flowers. I would leave them at the open house for the owners, which they would love, whether it was my listing or not. And then I would return at the end of the day to grab the flyer, talk to the person, and they would love it, and they were always redirecting. And then on top of that, it would be local celebrities that were within that community. So like for me, it was a former Patriots quarterback that was a broadcaster and a radio host. And then we also had a former American Idol contestant for a different demographic, for a younger demographic. And I know I'm going a little long, but I figured just give like the whole of the thing, because it was always about layering. And then after that, it was really about looking up the names of everyone in my farm, specifically at the price points that I wanted, and added them on LinkedIn. And then having just good professional updates, not any of that kind of, do you like this kitchen or that kitchen garbage, but actual things people care about. And then I'll save the last one because I know Anna loves it for later, and that way I'm not just prattling.
Marshall, can you share? Okay.
Yeah, I should.
So, I mean, I'm technologically an idiot, but I can also try to help share.
Did that share there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go over a little bit I do things differently in my hometown. Now, I will kind of preface a little bit that I grew up in landfall, so my name and my recognition is a little bit better than somebody that just moved into town, right? I played professional golf for 10 years off and on. So mini tour, never made it PGA Tour, nothing special, but I was a wannabe PGA Tour player that never made it. But my name was kind of known in the neighborhood. But one of the problems with that was I was associated as the golfer, right? And then I had to rebrand myself as the agent. So if you want to take it from that perspective, you could still have moved into the neighborhood and done exactly what I did because I just had to rebrand my name. So essentially, you just have to get out in front of your people in our neighborhood. So I will kind of start out by saying I don't have a CRM. That's a little bit different than what most people do. I've averaged about 23 to 26 million in closed volume for the last 3 years. I was primarily Zillow based for years and years, and I've leveraged the Zillow network into, where I want to be, which is ultimately in luxury sales, which is why I joined Christie's here locally. But I'll go over kind of how I do things a little bit differently than most. Our neighborhood has about 1,300 people living in it. If one of them call for my mailers, I do store them in my phone, and I'm very familiar with the neighborhood, and I can see things. So like if I know where their home is, I can associate with the name. So that's why I don't have a CRM. I kind of keep things in my head when it comes to that. But I'm very cost intensive with things that I do. So this is an out of the box idea that I've started this year. I'm doing a quarterly magazine where it's just about me. This cost me about $4,500 to create and send out to everybody in the neighborhood. But ultimately, the goal here is get a little bit of traction, get 1 or 2 listings from it. And then this final back page of the magazine, I'll probably end up adding a couple of more to start having a lender or somebody co-sponsor that magazine page with me. So I took the perspective of this is all about me. My name's in front of people. It's going to be in once a quarter. It's a high-end, high-quality magazine. And the goal is to stay in front of the consumer in that one targeted neighborhood. And ultimately, I can get this back page to be paid for by a lender where I can offset my marketing expenses there. Some of the things that I do that stand out differently in a neighborhood and how I market myself differently is this listing here. It was the highest price per square foot, or highest priced in the last 2.5 years in landfall. What I did over Christmas was I threw a holiday party. It was about $16,000 what the party cost. I had to put Christmas lights up, liquor, wine, beer. I had Reed's Jewelry come out and throw a watches and jewelry party. I had a handbag lady with $15,000 to $20,000 handbags set up. And I got everyone in the neighborhood that I knew that would live down the street or nearby to come to the event, as well as realtors. So it was a different approach, but it has been successful. It's the reason why I got this listing. I did it on a previous home. So I'm more ground force, in your face. I'm here, I'm there marketing, and people call based off of this. Different philosophy, but from being a Zillow preferred agent for so long, spending 10 to 15,000 a month, this wasn't very hard for me to do because I knew that if you spend capital in the right places, the money will come back to you. So I've just reallocated the way that I'm spending money. But I will go back and comment real quick on the CRM. I know I should have one. I know that I probably have lost business because I don't have one. It's just my processes haven't been that great. And I will admit that when I was doing Zillow leads, my goal was to get to here. I didn't have a goal to stay with the lower end price point. So I don't want this to sound bad or anything, but I didn't really need the CRM then because I wanted to get out of that and into here. So I will build a CRM based in my community eventually to where I physically want to sell only, but it has taken, 3 years to get to the point that I'm at now. And, now it's time to actually start focusing on things like that.
Yeah. It's good.
No, I stopped this share. Here we go. All right.
I feel like, guys, that would work in your market well. I mean, they're in Beaufort, South Carolina, so they're like coastal, you know.
Yeah.
very
So is it Hamza and who's the other? Ferris? Is that both of?
No, Hamza, Steven.
Okay. All right. So what I have noticed in my neighborhood is predominantly older people, over the age of 55, 60 is that, I mean, really it gets older than that, but I mean, that's kind of your younger age demographic. They love mailers. I used to do like handwritten cards from audience, and I got a lot of good feedback from it. I was sending 250 cards every other month. And I've been in probably 5 or 6 homes where they have a stack of my cards from a year ago that they just saved. But the older people, especially in landfall, southeast, probably in your area as well, they will keep your mailers, and they do actually appreciate mailers in the higher end categories. Younger people don't care. That's more like online demographic, but the mailers do work in the older demographic neighborhoods.
Okay. Do you go into these houses and see your magazine sitting there by the couch on the
I do.
end
This is the first magazine that I've done in this format, but I've definitely been in houses when I was doing the mailers, like the handwritten cards. I mean, I've seen, I swear to God, they're like stacks this big that they pull out from the kitchen that they've shown me that they've kept.
Wow.
I have done one-page magazines of myself. I have seen those in houses before, but those are like a golfer friend of mine. Might not be that I'm listing their house yet, but I mean, it's pretty apparent that I'm going to list their home. That mailer I just showed you hit 3 days ago, and I've already had 10 text messages, phone calls, or people that I play golf with that are older people that have been talking about it, and it hit their mailbox literally 2 days ago.
Wow. Yeah. What is there a certain frequency you like to send your mailers out?
That one's going to be once a quarter. At $4,500, I don't really feel like
Sure.
spending that every month. But and also the mailers are more time, right? So if you're looking for something quicker and you're wanting to get business as fast as possible, mailers is probably not going to be the route to do it. It's more building your platform there, and it's a longer term investment. But if I spend 20 grand over a year and I get 50 grand in return, I'm making, the proper amount of money for doing that.
Sure.
Right. I guess, I mean, for all three of you, at what point in your career did you start focusing more on attracting luxury listings or luxury clients than just the mediocre, the medium price point houses?
I feel like it just oh, sorry, go. I was gonna say, I just feel like for us, it just happened. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we ever targeted it. One thing we did is we focused on land and home, so that helped elevate our price point. But I just feel like as our reputation in the community built, we got more and more shots at higher price points. But I mean, that was never one of our target goals, was to try to go after luxury. It's just our price points elevated because of our market share, I think.
Yeah, I think being involved in the community that you want to sell in, right? I think that's extremely important. So your face is there. If there's a club that you aren't a member of, that maybe you can be a house member where you can go eat there and at least join and mingle, that gets your face out. But I mean, really, it was Zillow for me. I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of not really a great lead source anymore because the cost goes up. But my goal, I had a guy 4 years ago tell me that he would never list his luxury property with me because I didn't have enough sales, I didn't have enough volume, and I wasn't, talented enough in his mind. It fucking pissed me off. So I went and bought a shitload of Zillow leads, and I sold a shit ton of homes. Finally got one of my opportunities in landfall. Invited that guy to my party in landfall. That one I spent 7 grand to, and he was so impressed. He actually came up to me and said, "Man, you've done a phenomenal job." Now, in the back of my mind, I'm still annoyed at his comment, but it helped me get to the level I am today by what he said. And it's also helped me have a fully different perspective on how to market higher end luxury homes. And my thing is, we've got NAR lawsuits. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our country when it comes to us as realtors. So I'm really thinking out of the box. Like, when I get that opportunity for a listing, what can I do for you that separates me from every other agent in town? And right now, people want to see you create an experience in the luxury market, right? That's why they're hiring you to sell a home. They're not hiring you to sell a home so they can get 2.2 million versus 2.1. Ultimately, in that price point, it truly doesn't matter. I mean, obviously they want to get as much money as possible, but the experience matters far more than what they're actually putting in their pocket at the end of the day, because that's what's going to matter in the end. It's going to be the relationship building you have, especially if they're going to stay in the neighborhood. So I think you have to be out of the box thinking, and I think you have to be aggressive as to how are you going to go about your out of the box thinking. For me, it means I have to spend money, right? And I have to invest in myself. You might have an idea that doesn't cost a lot of money, but either way, you're going to have to think out of the box and do something that nobody else is doing.
So what you're saying is find a luxury seller, have them piss you off, and then invite them to your open house?
Pretty much, yeah. And wait like 5 years, because then you got to go out and work really hard to get the business, and then get lucky that you finally got a listing in the neighborhood. Then you leverage it. So basically, you know, I would say everybody on this panel has had an opportunity that was in front of them that they capitalized on. And that's what my point is I don't know what your story is going to be, but eventually you're going to have an opportunity that's in front of you that you're going to have to take, and you're going to have to capitalize on that. And when you capitalize on it, it will all really honestly make perfect sense. As for me, it makes sense on my story. For you, it's going to be something different, but you got to capitalize when it comes up in front of you.
No. The opportunity is definitely here in our market. It's just, you know, yeah, we have to find a creative way to access it. It's so spread out. It's interesting. You know, there's not, I think a lot of places there might be like, there's a pocket of, you know, this neighborhood is, you know, all luxury. I mean, it's with the waterfront and just the way the geography is here, it's just everywhere. You know, I think at first we'll probably focus on, you know, a specific farm, but, you know, long term, once we get that, you know, I guess more experience with luxury under our belt, we'll
Are
target.
there neighborhoods with like 400 homes in them?
So
Yeah. I mean, there's a few communities like that.
Right.
Communities.
And I don't know, Joe or Pearl or Anna, like what your luxury price point. I mean, technically, if it's over 750 under the Christie's umbrella, that's considered luxury.
Okay.
You
For
know, so
Boston,
I think
it's
people
over
have
7 million.
Yeah.
7 million is your luxury, super luxury. Yeah, but we just
Not
label
super luxury, just luxury. Like
Yeah.
my best sale was a 40 million condo off market, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,100 square feet at $1.
Yeah. So
I don't
every
have
market
that
is
in
their own.
Houston.
Yeah. What's
So
the weather
it's just different, right?
Yeah.
But you need volume. I mean, you need income. I mean, you can't just jump out and get luxury unless you're lucky. Like you're going to have income generation so you can spend money in the places that you want to get.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've both, you know, probably do a few a year, but you know, really shifting, you know, at least for me, my focus towards that. You know, we're a military town. I think everybody, I think there's a lot of competition in that military price point. You know, it makes it a little more difficult. I love the challenge, you know, I love going up against other agents and things, but you see the same probably 5 names on luxury, you know, consistently. I just think there's plenty of opportunity there.
So I mean, that's
Yeah,
where
I was gonna have Joe jump in. He spoke at our regional rally. Was it last fall?
Yep.
And I had a luxury golf property that wasn't selling. It's my aunt and uncle's to add more pressure to it. And I literally was like listening to him talk, and I was like, holy bananas, there's so many things that I don't think about out of the box with Joe. And so like one of his suggestions was like inviting the board of that golf club to have a meeting at our listing, which I would have never thought of. Do you want to know who bought it? Someone on the board.
Wow.
Now his wife works for me, but that story is really great.
Yeah.
but that's the thing, is it's taking unique approaches, and I mean, not letting anything kind of stand in your way, because most of the time what you have, especially in real estate, is echo chambers. You have people telling you that you have to do it this specific way, that this is the one path, and we create in our own mind these sets of rules that you have to follow, and there are no rules. There are no rules to how you prospect, how you get business, and how you obtain a higher level price point. And the people that have the hardest struggle are the ones that say, well, this is how everyone told me to do it, so this is what I'm going to follow. So like, I had lived internationally for almost a decade before coming back to Boston, so I was starting fresh. And it was with a game plan, face to face with the community. How can you do that the most at the right cost? Knowing who is influential and who is not, finding those people and turning them into advocates. Having the consistency around your marketing is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest thing, because what a lot of people don't realize is, like, unless you're memorable, you're forgettable. And that's the big thing, is why are you memorable compared to those other 5 agents that are always coming up in luxury? If it's the same ones, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, you can find out what the services they're offering are and create a chart just like a CMA. And you can say, hey, I'm not potentially the best fit for you, but here are the top luxury agents. You might already be talking to them. Here's my value. Here's what they offer. Compare. Come back and talk to me. The other thing is confidence, knowing when to walk out of a room, especially with luxury, and sometimes how long the days on market can be, because it's such a small buyer pool for them. Just because you don't get the first swing doesn't mean you're not going to sell the home. Doesn't mean you're not going to get the listing. I tell more people to come back to me when they are at a place of pain and are able to then have a reasonable expectation in conversation. And they don't like it at first, but they do when they go to the yes person that says yes to everything, and then it doesn't work. Yes, we can overprice it by 2 million. Yes, we can do all of this fluff advertising. Yes, we can say no open houses. Yes, we can have an NDA just to walk through the door. Yes, yes, yes. All of this different stuff that makes it harder and harder to sell. And then when they realize that the person that was on the level with them and forthright and having the sense of self and professionalism to look at them in the eyes and say no, that's what's respected. And that's what will get you more listings than anything else, because you're not desperate. And that's the other part of it, is where, like, when you start getting a reputation, because these circles are small, like some of these communities or buildings will have, you know, maybe 20 owners or 50 owners. Word gets around. They talk. It's one of their favorite things to talk about. And at the end of the day, they're going to say how that person stuck to their guns and then how they delivered. So like for me, like I right out of the gate went right for the higher price points, because for me, it was, if I'm going to make the effort, why not go directly to the source of my best ROI? And that's like the things, like what you have to look at is they feel like they are in an exclusive community because their price points are exclusive. So what are you offering that's exclusive? What item of value are you offering that others aren't? So like one of the things that I do, kind of like Anna was saying, was, you know, I will find organizations to host events at the listings. St. Jude's, one of the charities that I'm very, involved in, is one of the prime ones. So we have the New England regional office right outside on the outskirts of town. I bring them into everything. hey, do you want to have a meeting? Do you want to have an event? What can we do where you're getting a quote unquote free space? And then they're inviting everyone in the network that may not be looking for a space. But two things are happening. One, they're seeing me and my name because they're being told, hey, this is, a listing of Joe Turco's. It is for sale. He was kind enough to have the owners agree to hosting our meeting here. Isn't this great? Who do you know that might be of interest? And that builds my network and my database of people at that level. And it also reinforces from an outside source that I'm the person to go to, because it's not me throwing up, hey, I'm so great. Hey, we got to sell this. It's bringing in people that might not even be thinking about buying until they see it, until they experience it. And then there's no competition. Most of those people I two-side. Why? Because they want ease. And then the other thing is being hyper focused on that farm, that community, on what their actual concerns are. So like we have what are called seawalls, which I'm sure you guys might have as well, where they get assessments sometimes for $50,000 or $100,000 per house to have to maintain the seawall as part of their landowning. And it's not an option. So what do? We send a personal invite by FedEx, signature required, to an event about the seawall and how it's going to impact those people. And we may only send it to the 50 to 100 homes that directly impacts. But do you know what our attendance rate is? It's almost 70%.
Wow. And
And that's the thing, is all of those are between $3 and $60 million homes. And again, I'm not saying, hey, list your home. I'm providing information on things that directly impact them, allowing me to network, be a person that provides value, and be seen as a resource that they can trust when they have a question. So it's doing things like that where you're putting yourself within the community as a person of value and trust, as opposed to just the salesperson.
yeah.
That's
Because
all good points.
yeah, because how much does it cost to send a FedEx? $20. How much does it cost to host an event? Not a lot. Most of the time you can get it at the country club for a cheap rate, and they already know where that is. And then you can have a lender or an attorney or title, depending on how your state does it, have them cover most of it, and you're set.
Well, so I know marketing the fair market value houses compared to the luxury listings, is there a specific way you guys market them?
Like in terms of like just actual, like the sequence of like once we're listing it? Or are you talking about more of like, is there a disparity between the efforts that we make?
A disparity? Yes. Yep.
I would say ironically, no. It's where we have pretty much the same process, no matter what the price point is. There's just a couple extra items on the checkbox. We're like, okay, they have to go to luxury outlets. They have to have some of our different community leaders reached out to and seeing if they need an event hosted. It's things like having a little bit additional photography. So it's not that things are very changed per se. It's almost kind of like when you look at cars, like, do you buy the base model, or do you get one of the mid-tier packages, or do you go all out and get it fully loaded? Everything starts from the same structure. And to me, structure is important because that's, again, consistency and them knowing what their expectation is.
Gotcha. Okay. And again, the reason I ask is sometimes I see other agents building, branded websites that revolved around the luxury listing, or doing the cool video tours of the property. So I wasn't sure if there is something that you had done differently.
No, we just do that for everybody. And that's where one of the key calls to action in all of this is luxury is not about a price point. It's about a level of service. You know, you take the analogy of like a hotel.
Right.
The difference between a Motel 6 and a Four Seasons is what?
The service.
The service. It's anticipation, doing things preemptively versus reactively. It's the quality of attentiveness. It's the quality of product that is given. And all of that comes back to the level of service, the level of availability, and how you treat that person, because all of it is experience based. You know, the experience you have at a Motel 6 is going to be very different than that of a Four Seasons. That Motel 6 could be in Malibu and the Four Seasons could be in Malibu, but you're still going to have different expectations, even though they're in a great place.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that helps quite a bit, Joe.
Does it answer your question on the marketing side? Like he says, it's more layered. I'll comment back on the 750. Our firm, Christie's itself, that 750 is a nationwide tool. So once a home goes over 750, our firm just disseminates the information into different networks. So that's why that 750 number was defined as luxury, because of what our firm defines it. Where it goes, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all that online. But just like Joe's saying, that's just extra stuff, but it's the same marketing from the beginning, right? You're just adding more things to the higher price points and where it goes.
As far as marketing goes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you might want to do a cool video. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to go to a $400,000 house, right? Like, you're not going to have a Ferrari pulling up to the house doing a video. I mean, unless you really want to. But like, I mean, Joe, you can attest to this too. A lot of those videos, I feel like, are for more of the realtors' gain than they are the actual seller's gain, right? So like, if you're thinking about doing a video like that, you're investing more in your business to get more business from other realtors, but that's not really what's going to sell your seller's home. So like, let's say you're in a listing appointment and somebody in your town is doing shit like that, right? Like, you could actually outsell that and maybe even get the listing by saying, hey, that is more for the realtor's personal gain. I'm here to sell your home. Like, you can spin any sales pitch the way you need to sell a home, right? But I would say, and Joe, you probably would say the same thing, like, those videos really, they can sell a home. And if you're Hyder real estate, yeah, you might sell your home that way. But for the most part, it's for the realtor's personal gain.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in how the video is done. And that's the thing, is like, you can have cuts where you're in it, where you're taken out of it. It's really the experience that's being given, because at the end of the day, people are visual. So they're going to want to see different items in different ways, because a floor plan will tell you one thing, whereas a video tour will give you another. And it's all in how you present it. So if it's where it's a walking, talking head, where you're walking, talking through it, then yeah, in a lot of ways, it is more for you. If it's where you're narrating a tour and you're not in it, and it's just a voiceover, a lot of times that will key in on people, because what you're then able to do is visually keep them engaged, and then start layering that expertise about what luxury is in that area and what makes that home actually luxury. You know, it's talking about the actual different type of craftsmanship, the different type of woods and materials that were used, the different type of builders, and why, based on the time period, this was such a big deal, and the fact that your depth of knowledge is a huge asset that they would potentially need. So it's again, it's one of those things where it's always based on how you present it and how you look and use it, because at the end of the day, you can get something that's like a lot of attention. Like me on a billboard in a bikini draws an exceptional amount of attention. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the exact attention that I would want for that purpose. And, you know, one of the better analogies I like to use is everything is marketing, and attention is our main currency. So like if I list a home that's worth $4 million for a single dollar, do you think I'm going to get national attention?
Yeah.
Because if it's worth that and it's being listed for $1, I'm going to be, you know, getting calls saying like, hey, I got a 10 spot, can you break it? Right. And, you know, my phone will melt, it'll be aggressive, it'll be on the news, but does it sell it? Does that national attention reach someone that sees what it is, but then also is like, well, I want to look at it. And then they see more of it and they say, okay, well, what's the fair market value? Okay, I'm willing to pay that. And then maybe it sells. But again, it's that usage of potential extremes. And what do you want? Do you want extreme marketing? Do you want an image that is culpable to luxury for you? Do you have ego involved and vanity? Where is it on the spectrum that your marketing is representing how you work? Because how you work is going to speak to different people. So like for me, if I show up in a suit to some of my different listing appointments, they won't sign me, because that is not the mentality of certain demographics within luxury. Whereas on the flip side, other ones, if I don't show up, and if I don't show up being driven by a driver in a nice car, they won't use me, because they're not going to see me as an equal. So it's knowing what your marketing is speaking to, what demographic they're speaking to, and how to approach them in a way that is suitable and acceptable to them.
Yeah, and I think you want to know what, I mean, probably the same thing with you, Joe, is what do you want to do? Like, what are you willing to do? And if that's if you're fine with doing that, then go for it. If you don't want to do that, then you have to figure out how are you going to make yourself stand out in the industry more, right? Like I am in my town, I'm the agent that's going to throw a party at your house, right? If you want privacy, don't call me. And I'm fine with that, right? That is my confidence. I tell people in my neighborhood that all the time. If you want a fun experience, you want a great realtor that knows how to do marketing differently and throw a cool ass party, I'm your guy. And the reason why I do that is I have a guy in my neighborhood that has sold 60% of the homes for the last 20 years. Everyone knows him, right? So like I have to do something differently to get in front of him. And
like
I'm fine being that agent. And so for you is figuring out like, what do you two want to be, right? And you might have to have a different persona if what you want to do doesn't work. But I think it's always key, you know, maybe you want to be 5 different people, right? I don't know. Joe might pull up have a driver in one and might have a t-shirt in one and a suit. That's what he likes to do. I don't, right? So it's just, you got to figure out how do you want to be in your own shoes, and then build your entire real estate career off of that. And I think that's how people are successful. What I've always hated when I tried to get into luxury real estate, try to figure it out, I did what everybody else told me to do, right? Or I kind of just followed this little path, like Joe alluded to in the beginning. Like, there isn't a true path. Like, you've got to do something to stand out. Like, nobody knows you, right? Nobody knew any of us in this entire video chat. A lot of people still don't know who we are. How do you get people to know who you are, right? And Hamza, I think it's great, your name. Yeah, I think, I mean, personally, your name stands out, right? It's different than Marshall or Joe or Pearl. Like, you can leverage that, right? There's things that you can do with your heritage and your name that can actually stand out as a super luxury agent. Maybe that's not what you want to do, right? Maybe you want to leverage in a different way, but you have to know who you are as an agent. I'm a 6'4", 290-pound guy. Like, I'm big. I stand out. So if I'm going to be big and stand out, I leverage my my actual body and who I am to be out in front of you. Like I leverage that to become an agent. So maybe you don't want to leverage that, maybe you do, but there's just everyone has a different way of doing things. And the biggest fault I've found in real estate is people try to tell people how to do things when in reality we need to offer like how we do things, but say you need to do it different or you need to figure out a better way or something that's more creative to make yourselves better.
Well, remind me not to stand next to Marshall at my, staggering stature of 5'9", but buck 90 soaking wet. I will come up to the hip maybe and wave.
I'm on Ozempic now though, so I might be 260 in a couple months.
But I mean, I think and I agree with what Marshall said, but I think the biggest thing is consistency. And that's the downfall of most, not only agents, but business owners, where if you're not consistent with what you're doing, dude, you're fucked. So it's all, if you look at it from the standpoint of in luxury, what do people want? They want access and consistency. So let's forget about access for a moment. Well, let's look at consistency. Do your socials show your consistency? If you choose to do print, are they on a consistent schedule? Can they expect them? If you're doing in-person events, are they on a consistent basis? If you're within the community, are you consistent in how you present yourself? The best real estate is done and the best business is done in the most monotonous, boring, consistent ways. Where most people get it wrong is they try and have it be, oh, well, I have a new idea. I have something new and exciting, new. It's great to add a layer of new and fun as long as it's on top of consistency. So I would find what you are going to relish in terms of your day-to-day, because if you really want to do this, you have to commit to 24 months of trying whatever it is you do. If that's going to be, well, I'm going to reach out to 10 people on LinkedIn in that community a day with a personalized message, not ChatGPT, after looking at what business they're in, where they live, and speaking to them in a manner that's going to draw them in and show your value. Great. 10 a day, there's a couple thousand people, that'll last you 24 months. It's all about that consistency. And like, for me, why was I so consistent on open houses? Because I wanted to be face-to-face with people. I knew that most agents avoid being face-to-face unless it's in a closing situation as opposed to a nurturing situation. My whole take was, I want to never have you walk through a door to a potential property without seeing me. Because if you want to sell your home, the first thing you do is not, oh, hey, I want to talk to agents about selling my home. First thing that you want to do is look at where you're going. So as much as they're potentially looking at something for what they may want, they're also either consciously or subconsciously interviewing agents. So I want to make sure that I'm the face that they're always seeing, because then I'm top of mind. I have proximity, and that proximity allows for more conversations, more ability for me to show value to them without seeming aggressive. Because at the end of the day, who are you going to go with? The person that, you've bumped into 10 times over the last 90 days and have had some great conversations with and was never aggressive with you? Or the one agent that you reached out to that all of a sudden is pushing a contract down your throat, sitting at the kitchen table after they've looked at your home for 10 minutes?
Yeah. No, I like that.
You just got to find your consistency.
It sounds
And
like
it's
you
gonna hurt.
built a brand upon your uniqueness of whatever I guess your genius, right? Your superpower. It sounds like y'all had built a massive brand. And
Yeah, I mean, branding's important. I mean, you guys are important, and it's almost like you guys have to have affirmations. Like, I am important. People want to talk to me. I'm a valuable member of my community. I'm a person that people should know.
Yeah, I think Joe hit it right too. A lot of it is boring, right? I mean, that's why I do my parties, is because what makes it fun for me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so if you're gonna be full-time real estate agents and this is your 100% career, 80% of it's boring, maybe more than that. So whatever you guys pick to brand yourselves as or do, I would advise doing something you like, because that's going to make your job actually fun. There you go. Fast forward.
Look who's on it, though.
I can't see you.
Yep.
I like that.
But that's exactly it. Like, Marshall's right. And why do I wear hoodies? Well, I can put my face on it.
Yeah.
If you guys, are ever in Boston, I'll show you how pretty my face is, just by the fact that I can show my face anywhere and get whatever I want. Now, mostly it's because my credit card, and I'm not going to show it here, no screenshots, has my entire face on it.
That's awesome.
Conversation starter. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what income level you're at. No matter what, that will open up someone's eyes. They'll say that is the worst dad joke ever. But man, does that get a conversation going?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you want people talking about you. If you're not being talked about, you're not doing your job. I mean, really and truly, that's what it's going to come down to. And you have to be cocky. You have to be proud of what you've done, but you have to do it with humility too, right? Like, you can't just go around being a total douche about it. But like, you do want to have confidence about your career and your job. And I always revert back to, you're going to have to make some of it fun, because more than half this job is boring and annoying.
Do you guys know what has been working really well lately? So, and man, like, I almost hate giving this one up. Do you know what old people love to play right now?
Pickleball.
Right. Do you know what is really easy to get made?
A pickleball flyer.
Hats, t-shirts.
Oh, t-shirts.
Got it.
Pickleball.
Close. What do you need to play pickleball?
Paddles.
Right.
That's right. And if you just coincidentally brand them and then put a QR code and then leave them at the court.
What was it you said? I didn't hear what you said.
The paddle.
Oh, the paddle.
So you brand it, you put a QR code on it, and you conveniently forget it.
I just had a listing appointment with the 2-time pickleball world champion winner back in the 60s.
So he's like
it
90.
Existed back then?
Yeah.
Huh?
It
They
existed
invented-
back then?
Yeah, it did, and they nobody played it. They invented their own world, championship, and he won it a couple of times. So now he gets to say he's the pickleball world champion 2 times running.
You want to know what I would do?
What's that?
I would make a sweatshirt specifically for when I meet with him that says agent of the 2-time world pickleball champion, and then get a picture of him and get a picture of you, and then just Photoshop them together and just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart.
Confidence.
And what's interesting? I'll second to that, because I have some people on my real estate team. If for some reason you didn't get the listing, right, which you probably will doing that, but if for some reason you didn't, don't get mad.
No.
It's still going to help you build your brand. And I think the biggest mistake we all make in this industry, everybody's been there, is we haven't been picked for something and we put our best foot forward. That right there, even if you don't get the listing, is going to get you business from somewhere else. So just always think about it from that perspective. Then think about what you lose, build on what you lost so you can get a bigger gain in the future.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
But I
And
still
if-
don't think, I think that will work.
And if you want to be super petty, allegedly, if you tell your story about losing the listing, but just drop the address that's coming soon.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart.
Because it shows that you're in the conversation,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
not going to like you. So only if you want to like salt the earth.
Yeah. That's funny. Gosh.
Well, guys, Marshall, it has been awesome meeting you.
Yeah. True.
Hamza Pearl, and I'm sorry, man, I didn't catch your name.
Steven.
Steven. Great
Good.
meeting you guys. I apologize. I do got that 10:30 I gotta jump to, but like awesome getting to meet you guys. If you're ever in Boston, shoot me a message. I have, season tickets to every sport, including soccer. So I got you guys. I'm hoping to get down to the Carolinas again sometime soon. Depends on if Anna invites me again. I mean, man, like I have so many places I have to visit, and I'm just waiting for those invites. Unless one of you guys invited me. I mean, I guess that would be a solution too. But thank you, Pearl. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Appreciate y'all, and have a great day.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
You guys too.
Nice meeting you, Marshall.
Yeah. Nice meeting you too.
Awesome.
I've actually got a 10:30 as well to get on. So I guess we'll all
We,
kind of.
we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
absolutely.
problem at all.
Very
Nice
helpful.
meeting you guys.
You
Thanks.
too. Thanks.
Bye.